So who was the person that really maybe recognized that, that you had some special talent and really encouraged you, that really made you feel like, I can
I got
this.
encouragement from different family members, but probably my brother-in-law, David, who was, my siblings are 21 years older than me, 18, 20 years older. So he was, a lot like a second dad to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, when you get, out of high school or whatever, you should go to Nashville and you should, follow your music. And so when I turned 16, I went and asked him to loan me some money to buy a PA to buy speakers with. So he loaned me $2,300, and I told him I'd pay him back in 6 months. And he never expect on getting it back. You never know how somebody.
Sure.
But I did. I bought a PA, and I made the money, and I showed up 6 months later and paid him back in $100 bills. And then he took me to Guitar Center, and he bought me whatever guitar that I wanted. And he bought me a Taylor, 812 or 8. And man, I made a living on that guitar for 7 years. But somebody taking a chance on you, having an adult that was willing to lay it down and take a chance meant the world. And it meant a lot to me to come through for him as well, to come back. So later he did the same thing, helped me get a truck, helped me get a trailer so I could haul more gear around. And so he's been one of my main, inspirations. And he's been a great role model for how to have a family and work
That's
hard.
cool.
And yeah.
I was really jealous when you played with James Taylor. And you've gotten to play with a lot of cool guys, and I know people like, I saw your Greg Allman piece, which was great too, by the way. I'm not saying that because you're here. You made us proud. When we do stuff like that, we kind of represent our deal a little bit, and I mean, It really made me smile. Those two performances in particular. Has there been, even you get the offer to do that, or when you get on stage, has there been one of those that made you go, "Ooh, I'm not worthy"? Or
every one of them. The answer is every one. I played with Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr for an event, and Joe Walsh, and that was one of the ones where I was like, "What am I doing up here, man?"
How cool!
It is amazing, if somebody's music means a lot to you when you're younger, they're a superhero. Just as much as Batman or Robin or, and then getting to fly with the superheroes, man, getting to be a friend to some of those people and realizing that they're just humans too that do it. And, I try to keep that in mind when I come across kids and I see kids, and it may not be the most, convenient time to take pictures and to do that, especially when I'm with my family, but I try to remember what that was like for me. And the greatest milestones, getting to jam with Willie and hang out with Willie on his bus, and playing with James Taylor. And we spent half a day just hanging out and working on tunes, and I got to play his guitar, his Olsen guitar, which that thing's supernatural. It's like
how cool.
Yeah, those are the greatest moments, man, because it's real live superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell me I want to know more about your Southern Ground Camp, because I love the concept of this. So what's your mission?
So we're a farm to table. We got 450 acres of land, and we'll bring a different group of kids in every week for the 9 weeks of summer. We'll bring 300 kids in, mixed from inner city kids, just like you were talking about. Children that have developmental disorders and mainstream kids all mixed together, doing the same activities, doing the same things, learning from each other, sharing in the, in the spirit, giving them a chance to really see what it can be like in an environment that's truly about love and openness and courage, and learn about music, learn about farming, learn about where their food comes from, learn about nutrition, learn how to love and care for each other, and how to rely on each other. And that 1 week that you get to do that for some kids is completely, because some of the kids, you pull them in from an inner city and they may only see 4 blocks their whole life.
Yeah.
They might not ever get to sit in the woods, may not ever get to sit by a campfire. And when you show them a different way that you can live and a different way that you can be, it gives them hope and it gives them light to want to make the right decisions so that they can ultimately get to where they have a life in that, rather than just keeping in that cycle, just being, breaking out of the hood. That's part of it. Healing kids, helping kids that have developmental disorders, helping to find the very best and brightest of people that are doing research and doing treatment on kids. There's people that help to bring these kids out of the darkness. We want to harbor that. We want to help them to get the research they need. We want to be able to provide research from the camp. We can have a group of measurements we can take when the kids get there. They'll do a series of activities we can monitor, and we can monitor it again after they leave, after having no digital, screens, after eating right for a week, and after being in nature and exercise and the right. We can measure them again. We can measure them the next year when they come, and we've got university partners that we share that research with, so we can really truly show a family the benefits of that. And it's for military support. When it's not the 9 weeks of summer, we'll be helping first responders and Gold Star families, and bringing in people and helping them to become part of their family unit as they come back home from a military unit, going back into being a civilian. We've got a lot of initiatives, man, and we got an incredible campus.
Awesome.
And we're about 30% of the way done building the campus right now.
Oh, cool.
And finishing the lodge will be done in 2018. And once we have that, we've got conditioned sleeping space, and then that's when it really begins. Because
you got 5 kids of your own. I mean, what tripped your trigger? I mean, I'm sure it's a lifetime building up to doing something this grand, but what tripped your trigger to getting outside? I mean, that's a double handful. 5 kids, you're crazy anyway.
I am. I love it, though. I'm going to have to work hard so that my kids don't feel entitled and feel like that, anybody owes them anything. Mm-hmm. They're going to have their hands dirty working, helping the other kids working next door at the camp. Mm-hmm. And they're going to drive the biggest hoopty when they turn 16, the biggest, if they get in a wreck, they're going to win thing. But I'm not going to be one of the, brand new BMW kind of dads.
Yeah.
Because most of the kids like that in high school now are digging ditches or doing something like that because they didn't learn how to fish. And I'm going to have to work even harder to make sure that my kids have a perspective of respect and serve and have a servant's heart. And camp's going to help to instill that as well for them. That they're going to get to have groups and groups of kids coming in, and so that's going to be very centering for them and centering for me too, man. And it's an incredible thing that's happening there. We had an event yesterday, and it's just amazing. I mean,
good for you.
It's happening, and I will not compromise from the vision, because everybody's like, oh, we have to value engineer this. We'll never raise the money to do it. Well, you watch me. I mean, it's going to happen. It's a God thing. And I've been here to help be a conduit to help get it done. And I don't doubt it anymore. I just put my head down and go, show me a sign and show me these people, and let's lock arms and figure out how to do it. And it's a place where, for your charity, when you're talking about groups of kids and being able to have those kids, you need to bring those kids down and let us host them at our campus. And it's your camp. It's not my camp. This is a place where we can bring people in, and people that are already doing great things, we can host them there and have incredible experiences out on it's beautiful land too. I know you spent time in Georgia, and it's a beautiful place, and a place of healing and nature, and it's covered up with wildlife. It'll kind of make you mad. There's about 30 big toms that'll just walk around together, walking around, dragging the ground, and they don't have any pressure on them. They'll jump up on the back of your truck, and but it's good, man. It's a blessing to be a part of it and see it all going down. And I honestly don't feel like I'm in charge of any of it. I'm just being open to being a servant, to letting it happen.
That's cool, man. When you've got that much good centered in one place, you don't have to worry about the money. I firmly believe there's enough good people in this world, and most of those people are blessed too. And they share their blessings. That karma just feeds on itself. So that's awesome. All right, before you get out of here, I do want to talk about some music, and like your first single, "My Old Man." I mean, a kid was never closer to his dad than I was to my man. We were losing him was something that I've never even mourned, because I was blessed. in such a great way with the time he was here. But I still haven't written a song about him, about his life or his death. It's just pushes back at me. So it's like a big wind when I try to even sit down with a pencil on that one. And I have sat down with it a couple of times and went, man, I'm not ready for this yet, and may never be. What inspired you to get going on that? That's a big
lucky.
Topic.
You know, my he's still alive. He'll be 82 this year, and I've always wanted to write a song that's as good as leader of the band, as Dan Fogelberg, or write a song that says to my dad what I wanted to say, what he said. And I was the same thing. I sat down 100 times to try to write it. I've got 100 beginnings of songs. Nothing was good enough. And but I've had other people that were dads to me too, like my brother-in-law David, and then one of my friends, Scott. His family took me in when I was younger. He taught me how to make knives, and he was a Renaissance man. He knew how to do all kinds of things. He passed away last year, and I gave him the nickname Old Man, and that's what everybody calls him. And you know, he wore the overalls every day. You know, Liberty overalls. I've got a pair that he wore as much as any of them hanging in my shop. And I was close to him. I mean, we were really close. He was close to a lot of people. He was a preacher back in the day and just done all kinds of things, but made an impact on my life. So when he passed, he had a couple surgeries that went bad, and he passed. But then his passing gave me the inspiration to write it for everybody that's been a dad to me and for everybody that has a dad. And I think that's another example of the power of music, because I've had a lot of people tell me they listen to that song and then they call their dad. And that's at the heart of what we try to do. You know, what can we do? And in a lot of other places outside of music, I'm probably a little bit dysfunctional, you know, but getting to write songs that make people really feel things, to me, that's the good stuff.
Yeah,
and
man.
To make people feel connected and to make them closer to their family. If we can do that or give it a shot at that, man, like other people's music's done for me, then I'm really proud of it. And I'm proud of that song. I am tired of it making me cry, though, because sometimes I have to not think about it when I'm singing, man. I think about my son running around when I'm singing it, man. It's you know, you know that noise that comes out when you're trying not to cry. It's like,
oh yeah, that creepy little squeak.
Yeah. When you're trying to hold it in, you know. But yeah, for all the people that were good to me and all the father figures that I had, you know.
Talk about your son. This poor kid. What, he was born at 14, I think I read somewhere. He's got 4 sisters.
Yeah.
I mean, is he going to be like the toughest kid ever?
He's the king, man. He's the king. He'll be 3 in May, and he's a trip, man. And they just play. They take great care of him, though. I mean, he is the king. And I don't imagine he'll have a problem with the ladies. I'm sure he'll grow up hanging around with all their little friends, hanging out at the house and everything. He's got it made, man. I don't feel bad for that little dude.
At what time did you feel it was okay to be completely outnumbered? I mean, have you got a net or something, man. You know? Because we got 2. It's like I got 1, Barbara's got 1.
Yeah.
At the boat show, you know, we're pretty good. I just look at those parents with 3 and that 4-year-old that's running off when they've each got 1, and they look at each other like, who's going to let go? Or
Yeah. Man, they helped me to watch them. My girls helped me to keep everybody corralled and work on that zone defense, you know, keeping everybody wrangled in, you know. And we have our own little village wherever we go, and it's an amazing thing, man. Yet again, it's
last question. All right, last question. Just listening to your new music, it feels not retrospective so much as it really does have a kind of out in the woods, down home. The perspective that I'm getting is, you know, there's a lot of sitting down with the guitar and getting these songs started. And I guess the question is, did you approach this music differently, say, than your first album, which obviously you had plenty of time to write like we all did?
Yeah, I did. And this is the first record that I wrote all these songs for this record. and never done that before. Never. And so we took a personal approach. We picked different categories, and we tried to write a song in the vein for that personally for this record. And it was great because after I made my last record with Jekyll and Hyde, that was a kind of a concept album to show the range of the band, which I love doing. It was fun. So then I started my other project, Sir Roosevelt, and then doing the music, the more electronic centered music with that band helped me to get back to a purist approach with this one. I was invigorated, and I had no other pieces of songs that were floating around anywhere. You know, usually an album for me was the best collection of songs that I had at the time.
Right.
And this is the first one that was written entirely for this record and to be personal. And working with Dave Cobb was great. I mean, he might as well have been my neighbor I was catching frogs and crawdads with. I mean, we're the same age. We're from Georgia. It's just a natural fit.
Good.
And that was a lot of fun. I'm really proud of it, man. And I'm proud to get just back to, you know, to a song. I mean, I grew my favorite music listening to growing up was James Taylor and Jim Croce and Fogelberg, and it was amazing guitar parts and harmony and songs that made you feel something.
Yeah.
And Allman Brothers, I mean, and getting to some of the tunes that have some jam in them, and you know, it was great for me to get to make this, just to come home, you know. And I love to stretch as an artist, but it was great to just kind of move the haze out of the way and get back to the core of how it began.
It feels that way. Congrats.
Thank
and
you,
it's
man.
interesting, all the people I'm older than you, but all the people you mentioned were the people I was chasing when I was learning to play music. So you found them.
Well, it was my
you
siblings'
found them a little
music.
later in their career. There you go.
It was all my brothers and sisters. I was listening to what
makes
they were
sense,
listening
yeah.
to, you know, and they were 20 years older than me. You know, America and Bread and the Eagles
Yeah.
and Steve Miller and Pink Floyd and Beatles and
Ditto.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Thanks for coming in, man.
pleasure, man.
Like catching up a little bit, and
Yeah.
maybe I'll see you up there in the trees.
Yeah, absolutely. We will.